Ever wonder why, the moment you're hurt, your voice disappears? Why the words dry up, the chest tightens, and silence feels safer than honesty? Picture this. The room hasn't changed, the people haven't moved, but something inside you folds inward. You go still. You go quiet. Not because you don't feel, but because you feel too much. You learned early that pain expressed out loud was dangerous, that emotions were burdens, that explaining yourself only made things worse. So you mastered the art of disappearing without leaving. Here's the paradox that defines you. The silence that once protected you is now the thing quietly starving you of connection. You don't withdraw to punish. You withdraw to survive. And survival, when it lasts too long, begins to look like a personality when it was never meant to be one. People who go quiet when they're hurt are not emotionally shallow. They are emotionally overtrained. This pattern often forms at the intersection of emotional neglect, hypervigilance, and avoidant attachment. Emotional neglect doesn't require cruelty. It only requires absence. When your feelings were minimized, rushed, or ignored, your nervous system learned a brutal lesson. Eating is unsafe. Hypervigilance followed. You became exquisitely sensitive to shifts in tone, mood, and energy. Like a smoke detector tuned too high, you learned to scan for emotional danger, anticipating rejection before it arrived. Over time, this creates an avoidant attachment style. Not because you don't crave closeness, but because closeness once came with a cost. Silence became your armor. Distance became control. Neurologically, this pattern reroutes the default mode network, the brain system responsible for self-reflection. Instead of asking, "What do I feel?" it asks, "What will keep me safe?" Your identity forms not around expression, but around containment. Carl Jung once warned, "What is not made conscious will be lived out as fate." This is the invisible grief of the quiet when hurt person. You don't just suppress pain, you suppress presence. You don't just swallow feelings, you swallow needs. You don't just stay silent, you erase evidence that you were ever wounded. The cost is subtle but cumulative. You fear being misunderstood. You fear being too much. You fear that if you speak while hurting, you'll lose control or be abandoned. So you trade authenticity for acceptance. Again and again and again. Even ordinary moments become complicated. A delayed text becomes a verdict. A small conflict becomes a threat. A need becomes a liability. This is not weakness. This is the exhaustion of carrying pain alone for too long. These children grow up, and they become adults who appear calm but are internally braced. You might recognize yourself here in relationships. You shut down instead of addressing hurt. You disappear emotionally, then feel unseen. In conflict, you retreat, replay conversations internally, and never say what mattered most. In self-worth, you measure your value by how little trouble you cause. In boundaries, you avoid asking for more, even when less is slowly breaking you. In emotional regulation, you intellectualize pain instead of feeling it. In identity, you don't know where you end and others begin. These are not personality traits. They are coping mechanisms. And the beginning of healing isn't fixing them, it's witnessing them without judgment. Not gaslighting yourself into strength, but telling the truth about survival. Healing begins when silence stops being your only refuge. Inner child reparenting teaches you to respond to pain with presence instead of punishment. To say, "I see you, you're allowed to need." Shadow work invites you to reclaim the parts of yourself you hid to stay loved, the anger, the grief, the longing. Nervous system regulation through breath, grounding, and safety cues teaches your body that expression no longer equals danger. And slowly, you learn to choose softness over survival mode. Not all at once, not perfectly, but honestly. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Live the questions now." And this is the question you're learning to live into. What if your voice was never the problem? The goal is not to be fixed. The goal is to become whole. If this resonated, if you saw yourself in this silence, comment yes below. And if you want more explorations like this, share this with someone who goes quiet when they're hurting and maybe doesn't know why yet. You're not broken. You adapted, and now you get to choose something new.